How's it going, guys? It is Kyle, and we are back for another vlog. And today we're going to be talking about homework for younger Breadies, what we should be giving, what we can give, and different ideas if you haven't thought of them already. So let's get straight into it. Perfect, guys. So if you think of a normal Brady's day, right? They go to school, they do X amount of lessons, they do after-school activities, whether it's sports, a club, whether it's music, art, drama, something or other. Then they come home and they have more lessons, okay? And this is generally in the form of online lessons at IQ bars, sometimes at other places, depending on what they're actually learning, okay? So by the time they get to us, they've done a load of learning, or homework or activities or whatever they're doing. They've just done a lot of it. So 9 out of 10 times when they do our lessons, right, they don't always want this fat chunk of homework to be given out. That's insanely difficult and mind-numbingly boring. Okay, so especially with the younger ones, we've got to make it as fun as we possibly can. And how do we do this? Well, trying to make it as much of a game as you possibly can. So here's two variations. Okay, so end of a CGE unit. Why? Because Picaro, the homework's already there, but I'll get to that in a second, okay? So end of a CGE unit. Perfect, guys. So, John, I want you to do this section for homework. Answer the questions and read the descriptions. The Brady's going to get it and kind of just go, well, no, okay. And he might do it, he might not do it, depending on how academic he is or depending on how amazing he is, right? A lot of the times when I started giving homework and I gave homework in that fashion, well, the Brady's never ever did it. So we need to make it as fun as we possibly can, okay? So what that means is, instead of just read this, answer this, do that, right? So a fun example is comparing things. Now, if I remember correctly, it is CGE 3, Unit 3, just above the poem about the desert. There is a wonderful section of comparisons. And basically what it is I can't remember the exact sentences, but there's a few words, a blank space, and a couple more words with a word in brackets, whether it's big, small, short, fantastic, exciting, whatever it is. And we've got to fill in the blank of the comparison, right? So he is the biggest person in the class. The Gobi Desert is the smallest desert in the world. That's not necessarily true, but you get the point. Okay, comparison. Now, because we ended off on that section, now what I could do is, well, come up with 3 different sentences and compare things, okay? So what I want you to do is hold up a teddy bear. This teddy bear is smaller than that teddy bear, the mirror effect. Again, like I said, that's kind of boring. So how do we jazz it up? Perfect. So what I want you to do in the next lesson is I want you to find 3 different toys. You're going to bring them to class, and then we are going to compare them together. Okay? Find your favorite toys. Yeah. That one is my favorite toy. Grab it, bam, bring it and say, well, this one is bigger than my least favorite toy. What toys can you bring? Can you bring them to me next time? Obviously, make it as simple as possible, not in so many different words, but you get the point. You want to make it as exciting as you possibly can. Now, this is the perfect opportunity for me to fill in the little translator at the bottom of the screen. That's generally over there, right? And what I mean by that is every single lesson that I give homework, whether it's an activity, whether it's answering questions from the actual CGE unit, whether it's Picaro and I've got the homework activity right in front of me, I'll write what I want them to do there. Bam. And then not all of them, especially the younger ones, not all of them can translate it. I'll translate it myself. Bam. Copy everything and put it on the whiteboard. And then I'll go through it with them. I've got the English version and I've got the Chinese version. Okay. So now if they don't understand it, well, they've always got the Chinese writing right underneath it that they can read to themselves and go, ah, that's what I need to do. 90% of the time, previously when Breadies didn't do the homework that I gave them, it was because they didn't understand what I was asking them to do. Whether I was just making it too complicated, too long, whether the words I was using was too difficult. But as soon as I popped it in the translation and they understood what was actually happening, well, they did their homework every single time. Okay. One of my Breadies, when we were still doing FEW, First English words, okay. I gave homework every day and it was never done. Never done. She was 4 or 5 at the time, pretty young. It was never done. And I was like, well, why isn't it? And then I started giving activities. Can you find something green? We're working with colors. Find 3 things that represent your favorite color. I'd never used represent, but you know what I mean. Find 4 things with a color blue, 3 things with a color green, and 2 things with a color yellow. That's an awesome activity there. And they never, ever did it. And to me, that was simple. Why weren't they? Because they never understood it, right? Translator, bam, put it up. And then as soon as I did that, the very next day that I had it, well, bam, it was done. The next day after that was done. It was done. It was done. It was done. It was amazing. It was just done all the time. So make sure that you use that translator. I know we sort of sidetracked and everything off of homework ideas, but that is the best possible advice that I can give you if your Brady does not understand or he struggles to do it. Let them read it in their language and then explain it to them in English, okay? So now moving on from that translator, let's get back to the different ideas. Perfect, guys. So different ideas for little Brady's and how to make their homework exciting, right? So we've got the one activity that is always to get them to find things, get them to bring something to the class. And if they forget, here's the thing, right? Ask them while you in your homework checking section, right? Ask them, can you find something green? What can you see that is yellow? Or can you show me your favorite toy, and then grab a teddy, wham, and show it to them. And they'll obviously go and get their teddy, or they'll kind of look and then maybe be confused if they don't know how to find, or they don't know what the meaning of the word find is, find. And that's okay, right? Because their homework was to compare something. It doesn't necessarily have to be something of theirs. So if they didn't get it and they don't bring it to class, well, make sure you've got a teddy. Previous lesson, when you check that history, you've got 2 teddies or 2 different colors or 2 different items that are different colors or whatever the homework was, and you can actually show them and go, well, can you compare this? Batman and Superman, who's bigger, who's taller, who's fatter, who's stronger, who's thinner, who's smarter, right? So get them to be as active as they possibly can, right? Now, that's the ones that are obviously more active in class. Well, what happens if they're not really that active? They're just kind of sitting there, they're not kind of actually, they really enjoy the lesson, but they just prefer to answer it in a monotone or just kind of chill out and then just answer the questions, right? In that case, well, don't get them to obviously find things. They're not going to enjoy it and they're not going to. So rather get them to create sentences that they can remember or recite or write down, okay? So then in that case, what I would do, well, same example, CGE 3, Unit 3, the comparisons, right? Can you think of, 3 describing words? They could be anything, like big, small, long, short, fat. Can you think of any other ones like that? And then write it on the whiteboard. Bam, 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 bam. So they can see it and they go, perfect. So what I want you to do is try and think of the comparisons to these words, right? The comparatives. And then I want you to make a sentence for each one of them. Enter, copy, paste, bam. For each one of these words. Can you do that for me? And now they can actually think and use the words that they used, right? Or go, we've got 3 or 4 words. Now for homework, I want you to think of 3 different words that we haven't used today and make 3 sentences with those, right? But always remember, we are comparing. So we can say, the toy is big, but the house is bigger, right? And then moving on to something else, right? Now, we've dealt with active kids, non-active kids that like to make sense that or prefer just talking rather than getting up and finding, or they might not understand the word finding, right? The other thing that I want to mention is that I do this quite often. I recently got a Brady that's technically, well, 2 Brady's. That's 2 kids in the class, right? And as we're doing it, well, giving homework, you kind of go, cool, well, this is the homework. You come to the next lesson, they do the homework, and one of them answers, right? But now, how do we know that both of them know it equally well? Or maybe the one knows it a little bit better, the other one doesn't know it as well, but the smarter one is obviously answering all the questions, right? So another example that I did was, instead of actually giving them work to do or giving them sentences or constructing this or making that or finding this. When I said, cool, perfect. We read a story on a marathon. Now, for the next lesson, I want both of you to explain what a marathon is and if you've done any marathons before, okay? And then I threw this in. Each one of you is going to speak for 1 minute. Bam. So now they both go off. Okay, well, they can't come up with the exact same stories, right? They're going to both speak for 1 minute. In the classroom, next lesson, hit the timer. Bam, he speaks for 1 minute. The other one speaks for 1 minute. It started off the same, but then it branched off into their own personalities, right? So the main thing right now is if they are talkative and they enjoy talking, or if their sentences aren't that amazing when they're putting them together into one structured, proper, full sentence. Well, a good example for a homework exercise would be getting them to talk for 1 minute, 2 minutes. I wouldn't do anything more than 2 minutes because it does get kind of long, especially on a topic that they don't know. And then what I'll generally do is I'll put the little chat text, the text box on the screen. And as they're saying it to me, I'll type out their mistakes. Bam, listening, bam, typing out, typing out, typing out. And as the buzzer goes off, we should have that ringtone in the classroom or alarm tone when the buzzer goes off. Just saying. Anyway, I close that and then I check out the screen and then all the mistakes pop up and I go, cool, that was amazing. That was great. Give a trophy. Bam. Always praise them first. But we can change a few of those sentences. And now we start working on the actual structure of all the sentences and adding full stops and capital letters and all that jazz and if need be. Okay. So we've got activities, getting them to get up and do things. We've got the guys that don't like that prefer the sentences, right? Instead of just telling them to think of their own sentences, do the activity in class so they get a decent idea of what actually is expected of them. And then when they go home, well, they do it perfectly fine, right? Bam. Then we got the guys that don't really want to just do, I ran to the park. I walked to school. We're dealing with past tense now. I swam yesterday. Maybe they want to talk about something. So get them to talk about their weekend or what they did previously last week, Monday, last week, Saturday, last month. And they're going to speak at least 2 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds or whatever it is. But it's purely based on past tense. Okay. So we've got that. And let's move on to the next section. Perfect, guys. So uploading homework from the CGE unit versus your own homework, okay? Now, in my personal opinion, always go for your own homework. I'll explain why in a second. However, a lot of buddies do give homework from the CGE unit. Now, what I mean by that is, if we're busy with CGE unit 3, CGE 3, Unit 4, and Activity 2, Question 5, 6, and 7. We only got Question 5 done. So I'm going to give 6 and 7 homework. I've got to remember, 1, to upload it after the class, and I've got to explain it to them and make sure they understand where to find the actual homework, okay? That being said, if they have the CGE book, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just explain it to them and ask them to answer those questions. However, not everyone has the booklet and not all of the Breadies are going to be able to tell you if they have it or not. An example is I asked the Brady a couple of months ago if they do have the booklet. They said yes. The very next lesson I had with them, I asked them to give me the homework and they said, well, I don't have the booklet, okay? So they might just kind of worm their way out of it. So uploading it is always a good idea if you have the time in the lesson to explain it, okay? However, my personal favorite is to actually give homework that I've thought of that is based on the work. Therefore, there's absolutely no excuse. Tied up with the translation, well, they understand it. They don't need any extra pieces of paper. They don't need to download anything. It's right there. All what they're going to do is think about it and remember it, do it for the next lesson, write it down if they have to, or recite it if they need to, okay? So those are the two ways. Either give it to them from the book, but make sure you upload it, even if they say they've got the book, upload it just in case, okay? Or give them your own homework, okay, and then just make sure that they understand it. If you want to, you can, and we used to do this back in the day, the old homework slide, upload that homework into the review, and then that's 2 ways. But they still don't need the actual CGE booklets. A for away. Perfect, guys. So the last one, the actual level. How do we set the level? Now, this is completely up to you, okay? Now, what I mean by that is I can't tell you how or give you a scale of if your Brady can say this, his homework should be here. If they can do this, well, now their homework should be there, okay? You need to gauge whether your Brady can handle the homework or not. So if it's the very first time that you've seen your Brady, I'll always start with a little bit of homework. Not too difficult, pretty easy, okay? And if I get him again, well, now I've got a previous lesson that I taught. I know his level, or maybe I've got maybe 2 or 3 lessons and I've watched a few videos. I know their level. Now I can gauge a little bit better and maybe give them either a bit more homework or a little less homework. But at the end of the day, it's you that needs to decide whether your homework is too easy or too difficult. Now, the best way to do this is actively think about this throughout the lesson. What work are you covering? What work did he find super easy? What work did he find super difficult? If he find everything easy, well, pump that homework nicely, okay? Why? Because they can handle it. If they find everything difficult, well, halfway through that lesson, you should have went, whoa, I need to adapt it. Make it simpler and give nice and simple homework, okay? The other side of that is if I can see that the Brady's had a long day, what I'll do is I'll always have some sort of competition or race. What I mean by that is, again, is we'll do an activity. If he wins or she wins, they won't get homework. If I win, I give them loads of homework. Needless to say, if they've had a bad day, I always end up losing, okay? That way, it's not me going, you're not getting any homework. It's me going, wow, you did amazingly. I'm not going to give you any homework. I can't. You won, right? So do that throughout the whole lesson. Gauge their level and then see at the end when it comes to that last 2 minutes, 3 minutes to give that homework. Now you can go, well, this was super easy, so I'm not going to give him homework based on that. This was super difficult, so if I give him that homework, well, he probably won't understand and he's not going to end up doing it. But if I give him this homework over here, bam, it wasn't too easy, it wasn't too difficult, it's kind of in the middle. Now I've got that nice little fun ground where I can go, let's give him this, but make it slightly more difficult. Let's see if I can push him as far as I possibly can. So gauge their level or gauge the level of difficulty throughout the entire lesson, okay? So that is it. Let's do a little recap. What types of homework can we do? We can get them to find things, bring them to class. We can get them to look at different things, describe different things, get them active and actually moving. We can get them to make sentences. However, don't just do the whole make sentences with 3 different words. Get them to think about words in the classroom and then get them to make sentences based on that. So it's an extension of an exercise they were doing. They know exactly what's cooking, right? Get them to talk 2 or 3 minutes. Make sure that you're uploading the homework. If you're not, make sure that you use the translator so that they understand the English version and the Chinese version. Anything else, give me a shout and we can go through some more. Peace out, guys.